Today brings with it some really interesting comments from the EA CEO Andrew Wilson, who had a rather lengthy interview today with The Verge. We'll be linked in the description below if you want to give it the whole thing a read. It is fairly lengthy. And among many other things, he talked about how EA is preparing for the future, and they're envisioning a future where games will span across multiple devices, with the Frostbite Engine playing an important role to that end. And he said, quote, "What we're trying to do is prepare for the company for a world where there truly are more devices capable of playing games, and players are refreshing them more often and liking them refreshing asynchronously. You might refresh your mobile device at a different time than I do. You might buy the 8K, I might stick with 4K. You might go down the Oculus VR route, I might go down the PSVR route. What I've got to do as a creator is try and keep it together with your friends inside experiences that you love, and the only way we can do that is at a core engine level. We talk a lot about our single engine in Frostbite. It will scale up graphics on a bigger device and scale them down on a smaller device, so we can build once and publish to many devices. It's a world where we no longer have to make decisions like, do we build for the Xbox or the PlayStation or both? There's literally 30 or 40 or 50 different devices, and we have to be able to build for all devices that are meaningful for players. We've been investing heavily on that front for the past 4 or 5 years. We think now, by virtue of that transition, we can get more games on the PS1 and Xbox One than any other publisher. You see us now starting to really grow our mobile install base. You see us get to the PSVR and Google VR in the same time frame. That's the only path forward for us. In a world which we could have to build incrementally for every device, forget the cost implications of that, we literally just couldn't do it from a person power point of view. And to be honest, like, having this kind of powerful, flexible ace of an engine in your back pocket for EA is pretty damn powerful. You know, the Frostbite engine delivers great graphics, great performance a lot of the time. Obviously, just your mileage may vary, of course, as with any engine, but you know, mostly. But as again, it has huge flexibility and scalability, so again, they have this option of like, you make the game once, you scale it down to put on a phone, or you scale it up to put on a big ass TV or whatever, and having that flexibility does mean that you're not spending extra man hours doing a mobile port or a VR version or whatever. Obviously VR takes a bit more work, but you've still got a really strong, flexible engine, which is obviously going to make your life easier in the long run. Now, he spoke a bit more about this future that they're envisioning at EA, where every game played regardless of device will contribute to the same virtual world one way or the other. What does he mean by that? Well, he said, quote, "As you think about us putting the entire experience into the cloud, when that happens, what then happens is the nature of the experience isn't governed by the platform you choose to play on. The nature of the experience is governed purely by the screen size you have access to and the connected to controller and the amount of time you have to play. When you're playing on a PlayStation 5 or 6 or whatever, it's available at that point. It's going to look one way on your big screen TV. When you look at it through a mobile device, it's going to look a different way. When you're playing it on your internet enabled fridge screen, when you're getting the eggs out in the morning because you're just doing a few quick trades with Madden Ultimate Team, it's going to take a different format. The most important thing is that none of that time is wasted. It's not throwaway time. Everything accumulates the value of who you are in that virtual world. That's really our vision. To get to a point where we don't discern for you where you should play or how you should play, only that every minute of play that you invest in the experiences that we create adds value to who you are in that virtual world. You're not throwing things away from one device to another or one experience to another. That goes from device to device. It also goes from game to game because again, we as human beings are the sum total of our experience. That's what makes us who we are. That's what gives us our character. We want to replicate that in the virtual space. Now obviously, I don't think we're getting fridge gaming anytime soon. I mean, I suppose it would be nice as you're waiting for your dinner to warm up in the microwave to play a quick game of Hearthstone on your fridge, but I could also just get my phone out of my pocket and do the same thing, but regardless, it still is an interesting idea that they're talking about here, where you're sort of contributing to the same world. I mean, I guess what he means by that is I should be able to contribute 10 minutes to it on my fridge screen or whatever, my future technology fridge screen, come back to it later, and that contribution is still there on a different device. I can then play it on my console, my PC, or VR or whatever it happens to be, and I continue to contribute. You know, obviously, this might be more applicable to a sort of multiplayer game. That's the thing of being like, you know, sum total of the experience. That applies more to something that is, of course, very based upon what the players are doing. But even in a single player game, it's still based upon your actions. Obviously, you're following the path that the developers have laid out for you, but be that a linear path or a wider path or a open world where you can meander around. It's still what the developers have given you, this sort of playground that they are allowing you to be in. It's still the sum total of your experience, the sum total of what you have chosen to do, the path you've chosen to take, the choices that you've made. So it is interesting that it's envisioned in the future where a game is played across devices and then contributes in whole to this one product. So whether or not we see that future come to pass, I don't know. But it is very much indicative of EA's attitude of like, you know, let's get our game on as many things as we can. We get it on console, we get it on PC, we get it on mobile, let's get it on VR, and if fridge screens are ever a thing, I have no doubt you could probably play EA games on those as well. So, interesting look into the mind of EA there. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.